On the 3rd of May, 2025, I have an observation I'd like to make. Since certain trolls in the hate cult wish to make fun of me, I am curious how they are going to explain that they clearly do not care about praise. About a year ago, or close to a year ago, I made a video trying to warn Praise that if he continued with his health the way that it is, he was putting himself in grave danger in terms of his longevity because, after all, here is his real face. This was about 5 months ago. So, this is decently recent where he's shown his face. I don't make fun of Praise based on his weight. What I highlight is that if I make content about fitness that involves using slam balls, or if I make content using, gym equipment like barbells, weights, whatever, I get mocked and told that I deserve the ridicule and scorn from people who know what he looks like. They know Praise is morbidly obese and they do not care. And evidently, his own sister does not care about him about a year later, nor does the dude care about him. Mind you, he looks like this. Do you see all that adipose tissue, that fat tissue on his face? I'm not making fun of the guy. I'm saying he clearly has a problem managing his weight. Something like, assuming what he told me was right, 6'3", 400 pounds. That's a ticking time bomb. There are all sorts of morbidities that could occur, heart-related problems, everything from the intestines to the liver to the brain. I mean, the human body is just not meant to be that heavy. So instead of encouraging Praise to get his act together, instead of saying we need to consult with medical professionals to help him to get his weight under control so that when he's 55, he'll still be here and have some level of quality of life, I am mocked for uploading fitness content. Content that really has to be some of the most placid, germane content. Let's see. I'll show that here. So rotational throws, pretty standard stuff. And then a slam ball complex video that I did. For that I get mocked. But Praise can look like he does. And no one says anything. G&G Streaming doesn't say anything. The Dude doesn't say anything. Olive doesn't say anything. None of the subscribers over there, the Erica Hubners, the Dustin Bucks, the Robert Jenkins, they don't say anything about Praise being morbidly obese, class 3 obese. What I find interesting about that is that the people who do this evidently care so very little about Tom that instead of saying, Tom, if what he's saying is true, Ryan lost about 200 pounds. Maybe you should take his advice and go take care of yourself. Or instead of focusing on the issue at hand that, well, all the medical data suggests your morbidity rate, the rate at which you could expire, is significantly higher when you are morbidly obese. Oh no, they don't care. So what it leads me to conclude is that it's not even about Christianity, because of course they really don't believe in Christianity. They don't even care about each other. If you try to tell Bill that he is a raging alcoholic and that he has worsened significantly in the past several years, which, by the way, There's physically there will be consequences for that, but it's not that smart to go drinking on your live streams for years and years on end. That provides what's known as proof. But sticking to Tom, I find it interesting. I get mocked, I get attacked, and typically speaking, I don't respond. But Tom's health doesn't matter. Cuthbert's health doesn't matter. They can mock that to escape their own lives and try to relieve stress from the internal tensions in the cult. Let it never be said, however, that I didn't try to care with praise. I spent 2 years trying to get him to go to the gym, trying to get him to become physically active, even in the most marginal way, so that he had some hope of making it to his 55th odd birthday. Because let's face it, the chances of him doing that are dramatically lowered considering his morbid obesity. Well, that's really all. Stefan, they can, yeah, pretty much. I know that. But I do this, Stefan, because a year ago I made a video warning praise that he was so obese that he needed to lose weight and do so expeditiously. Should he not do that, there was a pretty good probability that it would significantly shorten his lifespan. A year later, and they don't care at all. I mean, they're doing absolutely nothing to rein in praise. So that leads me to conclude that the people surrounding praise, G&G Streaming, the dude, all of his own sister, care so very little about him that they will not do anything to hold him accountable. And likewise, evidently, the people surrounding Bill, who is an obvious raging drunk, they do nothing to rein him in either. It's common knowledge how much he drinks. Try to warn him, you're going to end up a withered yellow husk one day, potentially. Then you're going to be screwed. I've been there before. When my late uncle died, that's exactly what he was. He was a shriveled yellow husk on a tube, dying in the hospital when he finally went into detox. It was horrible. I will never forget that in all my life. I wish I could. It was terrible to watch him in that state. I don't desire that for these people, though evidently they have such disregard for themselves and others that they can't say, Tom, we need to get you with medical professionals. We need to get you with a personal trainer. We need to get this under control. Hey, Bill, your drinking is absolutely out of control. You need to get your drinking under control. Well, that's essentially all that I have to say. I've taken about 4 or 5 years to recondition myself and find myself with more physical ability than I ever had in my entire life. In the past 4 to 5 years, comparatively, when you look at the hate cult, they care so little about their own that they do not care. Praise has morbid obesity and that this is a significant health problem. They do not care that Cuthbert is an out of control, raging drunk who can't function in society. Evidently, all he does is sits around drinking beer and trolling people. Don't let it be said, or how do I want to put this? I think that really shows the moral perch from which these people stand. It's not a moral perch. They have not a leg to stand on. Yeah, I don't know what all this Al Bundy free grace football stuff is. Maybe he said something again. Maybe when he was younger, he was involved with football. It's entirely possible. I don't really know, Tim. What I do know is that there's no way. I mean, if you're that heavy, you can barely get around. There's no way you could do the things you have to do on a football field. And frankly, the workouts required to condition yourself for the NFL or for American football are pretty rigorous. I've trained with those guys, I've squatted with those guys. It's not easy workouts. There is no way that he is doing that now. So let's just leave that there. These people will make fun of you if you post fitness content showing that, yes, even with morbid obesity, like I used to be, you can improve. Yes, even if it seems completely hopeless, even if it seems like you don't think you can do it, it is possible to reverse your health. It is possible to improve your quality of life. These people, however, care so very little about each other that they won't do that. Watch this. Praise evidently had about 25 football scholarships. Oh, I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that. Y'all take care.